just to give a little background, the years under the Duterte administration, while there have been criticisms, some people are saying that little was achieved. Actually, a lot of fundamentals were achieved as a base platform. So most fundamentally, we had a good base in finance and currency that allowed us to be spending on this on the infrastructures, and these infrastructures have been very useful as enablers were accomplished. These enablers included infrastructure in physical roads and bridges, in digital, in the area of digital, in payment systems, and airports and ports, which allowed us to significantly, very quickly grow in areas of e-commerce, tourism, and so forth. The introduction of roads and bridges in this build program had allowed a lot of areas to develop, unlike before, which used to be always in the Metro Manila or urban areas only. But in this case, in the last few years, I think everyone who travels will know it's all over the country. Everybody's property values went up. Everywhere there are malls and residences, residential housing being built. So that has created a very dynamic economic development that the foreign enterprises have been able to appreciate, and they could see that also, not just with domestic enterprises, but with a substantial foreign direct investments that came around, uh, primarily a large portion of which came from China, both expenditures in tourism and other matters, as well as investments, and then joined in also by the US, Europe, and including Singapore, Hong Kong, and these, because there tends to be a cluster effect. And that optimism still is in the background today, even though there are issues of this inflation and the pandemic. Everybody sees that the fundamentals of the country in terms of demographics and ability to spend are good, and expected to be among the top performers in the world, assuming certain things don't happen. No? The good thing that we can look at now is that not only the administration supporters, but the incoming administration supporters, but even the international committee has come to the view generally, and we can see that in the New York Times, in Bloomberg, and elsewhere, that there's an appreciation for the good financial and trade and industry team, and other fundamental, the more basic teams that are needed to manage the economy. Of course, there are also the tax reforms that put us on sound financial footing. And there's now, lately, the liberalization of investments. So all these are factors that are, for us, going to be favorable. And that's seen by all the local investors. All the major conglomerates locally have major programs that they're going to continue, resume, that was slightly slowed down during the pandemic. The foreign investors, those that declared that they were going to withdraw because of political instability, are swept away by all these others that are indicating their interest to coming in. Now, the factors that we have to look at would be, given these areas also of uncertainty with the inflation and the potential geopolitical issues, we have to look at the political will, and not just the political will for taxation and where we're going to spend the money, but where we're going to allocate the funds, because this is going to determine what kind of returns we're going to get. It's a question of allocation, the team that will allocate these, and also the teams that will execute these. So this is what we have to look at next, and we have to help each other in that. We can see in the execution that the ARTA has been effective in many areas, not in all areas, which is the anti-red tape, and we expect that to continue. In any case, for entrepreneurs, we have to see entrepreneurs and the business community. We don't really look for all the factors to be in place. This is what happens, maybe what a manager does, or an analytical team will look for all the factors needed. They have to look at all the factors. That's part of the profession. But the entrepreneur or the enterprise is always used to just looking at key fundamental factors, and not all of them have to be favorable. You assume that you're an enterprise because you will solve issues along the way. So given this situation currently, we can say that the great majority of local and even international investors are bullish about the prospects of the Philippines, given also of course, that there are some potential issues that may come up. Thank you, Austin.
Thank you, Mr. George. So now we have already a list of questions here from the media. Pia, my beautiful co-host who's enjoying Barcelona right now, has collected the questions.